Well, another Blender noob. Come crawling over to YouTube looking for someone to tell you how to make a car, huh? Don't worry, I was just like you once. Hey guys, look what I just made in Blender. Isn't it cool? Oh, are you done watching the flashback? Okay, sorry, I was just grabbing something to eat. I didn't know how long that would go on, but yeah, pretty messed up, right? Well, don't you worry, because I'm here to keep a similar fate from happening to you. Recently, I released Everyday Vehicles on itch.io, an asset pack with 13 different vehicles, and I made every single one of them using pretty much the same workflow. And the best part, it's actually stupid simple. So today, I'm going to walk you through my entire process from getting the reference images to modeling the car, UV wrapping it, and texturing it. And no, you don't need to be some Blender wizard who's been modeling cars for the last 15 years. If you can move some vertices around without accidentally deleting your entire mesh, you'll probably be fine. So, let's make a car. Okay, first things first, you're going to want to go to your AI of choice, and you're going to want to put a similar prompt to what I have right here. Basically just stating that you're wanting to make a car in Blender and you're going to need it to generate a texture image for you. I specified here a 90s style Bronco. I also specified that it needs to have a front view, both side views, a rear view, and a top-down view. And then I also asked it to give us some blank plates. That way, later in the game development stage, we can add our own plates on there. So with that put in, let's enter it and see what it gives us. Okay, that came out perfect. We're going to go ahead and download this image and take it over to Blender. So I'll see you over there now. Okay, let's get our scene ready. I'm going to go ahead and just delete everything here. And what I'm going to actually do now is import a different vehicle of similar size to what I want this one to be. Like I mentioned, I've already made 13 other vehicles, so I'm just going to import one of those just to get a basic size reference. If you have a character or anything from a game you're making that you can upload just to kind of get a basic size, that's what I would recommend doing. But I'm just going to use a car that I've already made previously. So I'm going to get that kind of positioned where I want my other car to be. And then I'm going to just drag and drop those images from ChatGPT into Blender, and I'm going to reset their location and rotation. That way we can get all of this lined up perfectly here. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this rotated to the side of the vehicle. Like so. And then we're going to change the opacity down to something like 0.25, just so I can see through it and match it up with the side of the vehicle. Once we've done that, I'll press 3 to kind of get a side view here, and then now I'm going to resize it to that vehicle to match the size. Okay, that's about right. So now I'm going to duplicate that and turn it on its side. And then I'm just going to make sure that that lines up perfectly. All right, that lined up perfect. So now we've got a front and side view, and that's basically all we're going to need. So I'm going to get rid of that vehicle. We don't need it anymore. And then I'm going to go ahead and start us off with a cube here. I typically like to start off on the side of the vehicle just to get the general profile of it. So I'm going to rename it now before I forget. And we're just going to kind of try to get this cube as close as we can to the general shape of the vehicle. So I'm going to take us into wireframe and just going to move these vertices all the way to the ends as far as I can that match that cube shape. And then once we get to this point, what I'll do is actually extrude these down to kind of fit the shape of the vehicle. All we're doing is we're just trying to get that basic shape. So definitely doesn't have to be perfect here. We're just wanting to follow the outline essentially, and then the texturing is really going to do all the work at the end of this. So definitely doesn't have to be perfect, but try to match it as best you can. And something I'd definitely recommend here is making a loop cut all the way through the vehicle on these vertices towards the hood. It just makes resizing, pulling it out a much more even. And you're just going to, we're in that front view now, and we're just resizing to fit the front shape of it. And once we've done the front and the side, we're basically done on shaping the vehicle. I am going to clean up a couple of the edges around here. I typically like this front portion to be a little tighter. And I think that's about good. I like that overall shape. And of course, we'll continue to add some loop cuts and stuff just to add general topology to the vehicle. And now we can move on to texturing. So I'm going to go ahead and hide these references. We no longer need them. And it is time to actually throw the texture onto the vehicle. So I'm going to create a new texture here. I'm just going to rename it Bronco_matte. And then we're going to drag that same reference photo into there, and we're just going to connect that right to the principal. So I'm going to select these sides here first, and I'm going to do them together, and I'll show you why here in a second. So once they're together, we're going to do a smart UV wrap, and you do that by pressing U. And then once they are wrapped, you'll kind of see them over here on the UV editing tab. But we are basically just going to resize those until they match up perfectly with that image. So it takes a little bit of kind of finagling here to kind of get this just right and perfect, but shouldn't be too difficult. And it's, once you kind of get into a rhythm, these become very simple. So I'm gonna get these just right. I typically don't like to keep the headlights and the front and back headlights into the sides of the vehicle, just because it's kind of hard to get those lined up perfectly with the front and backs. Some of them work, some of them don't. You'll kind of have to play that one by ear. But now this is exactly why we did them both at the same time, because now I can just flip this one over and drag it straight down, and it's already ready to go. So that's two sides of the vehicle done. And now my favorite part is the front side. So we are going to do another Smart UV project. And we're just going to resize that to fit on that front side of the vehicle here. Kind of do the best you can on getting as much of that vehicle front in there as possible. Since these are going to be very low poly meshes, you're not going to be able to just fine tune it all the way around the vehicle, but just try to get as much as you can without getting that blank space. So now we're doing the hood and the windshield. These are pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to finish up the roof here, and I believe we just have the back and underneath left. So roof is pretty simple as well. It's all about just smart projecting all of these images on their own and just kind of lining them up on those reference images that we have, as well as the textures. So basically you're just going to smart project every side and line them up. And it really is that simple. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3. Then let's go ahead and do some wheels. So simple cylinder, I'm just going to kind of line these up with the wheel textures on the side here, and we're actually going to be doing a bowl cut on there. And I'm just going to try to get that as close as I can. And then once I feel like I've got that good, I'm going to duplicate them to the other side, and I might even just pull up that texture one more time just to make sure we're kind of pretty close to where those wheels would be. So if we do one here, and I might actually have to make that opacity a little bit more. There's the wheel. Okay, so I just want them a little bit past on both sides, and that looks about right there. Okay, So I'm going to join these two objects together, and we can hide that again. And then I'm going to duplicate them down to the rear tires. And then I'll just join all of these objects together and do a bool cut on the car, and that's perfect. I'm going to make sure everything came out okay. There's no weird missing faces or anything, and I don't think so. Looks great. Okay, so we can apply that bool cut, get rid of that. And what I'm going to do now is actually do a smart project on these as well. And I'm just going to put these somewhere. It doesn't have to be anything special. I'm just going to put them in the window, just so that they're black. And it kind of makes it look a little bit more clean here. So that's perfect. Oh. I'm just going to do a little fine tuning on the entire mesh just to make sure everything looks good before we start adding some more details to it. Okay, now that we've got the mesh how I like it, I'm going to go ahead and do some cuts here on the front of the mesh where the bumper is. And then once we get these cut out, we can actually go ahead and extrude this out to kind of give that a little bit more of depth. So that bumper comes out a little bit just like a real car. And then I'm going to take those surrounding edges that don't have textures, and I'm just going to put them into black as well. And what I like to do is I actually like to cut out these front headlights, just because I feel like insetting them gives the front of the car a little bit more depth. It makes it look a little bit better, at least for me. So we'll go ahead and do that. Beautiful, gorgeous, stunning. And I'll also cut out these license plates and inset them just a little bit as well. Okay, and that looks good. Let's go ahead and work on the wheels now. So the wheels are very, very easy. So basically just get your cylinder, kind of go to the side view and match that up with that indentation there for the tire and resize it to what you think a tire should look like. What we're actually going to do is just use the same texture for the car, for the wheels. And make sure you don't forget to rename these. It'll be very helpful once you get actually in an engine, a game engine, to know which wheels are which. So go ahead and apply that same material to the wheel. Make sure you hit cube projection when you only select the outside faces of the wheel and hit cube projection. This will make it a perfect circle. I know, weird, cube for a circle. Trust me, bro, it works. And then just kind of line those textures up right with that wheel. And what we'll actually end up doing is going back to ChatGPT and having it generate us a tire tread texture as well. And then we'll go ahead and throw that on the tires just to round them off. And there you go. That is a finished 90s style Bronco car. Textures straight from ChatGPT. we were able to put together a basic model and throw together a pretty darn good looking car. So that would look good in any game. One more quick note, make sure after all this you do apply your transforms here. You can see that the scale and rotation, all that, were all kind of weird for this. For this, I just apply the scale and rotation for the tires, since I don't want their origin point to move here. But for the main car, you can just apply the transform rotation. And there you go. You now know pretty much the entire workflow I use to make all of the cars in my everyday vehicles pack. So technically, you don't need me anymore. You can go forth, open Blender, and make as many questionable automobiles as your heart desires. But if you're really cool, instead of doing all that work yourself, you'll just head over to my itch.io page and buy mine. You know, support your local Blender noob. I'll have a link to the Everyday Vehicles pack in the description. It comes with all 13 vehicles, the blend files, game ready exports, and the Unity and Godot demos if you want to mess around with those. But whether you buy the pack or make your own, hopefully you learned something from this video, or at the very least, now you know how I make these things. Thanks so much for watching. Now go make some cars. Or buy mine. Preferably buy mine. Alright, bye.